My dear friends, today we will discuss about the new type of project in the SAP S4 HANA. So basically nowadays, this project also we observed many times, like many of the students got this project and we need to work on that project and compared to other types of projects in SAP, this project is little bit different, my dear friends. So today we need to discuss about the data migration project. But before we discuss regarding to the data migration, first we will try to understand one more time the types of projects. So do you remember or not in our first day session? So I started my training with this topic only. So basically we have nearly 8 types of projects in the SAP S4HANA environment. And out of that, the first important project is the first project is implementation project. So again, in implementation, we have 3 types of implementations: greenfield, brownfield, and bluefield. Greenfield is nothing but the client is newly implementing the SAP application. Brownfield is nothing but the client is already used earlier ECC application. Now the client wants to move into SAP S4HANA. And when it comes to the bluefield, so the client wants to move selective data transition into the SAP S4HANA system. So likewise in implementation in real time, so we have 3 type of implementations is there. You can see here, so the greenfield. So earlier the client is not used any SAP applications. So now this time only the client is newly implementing SAP. So we call as greenfield. Brownfield means system conversion. Simply earlier the client is having SAP ECC and now we want to move into SAP S4HANA. And Bluefield is nothing but out of the 3 systems. So we are moving one system into the SAP S4HANA. So this is the first type of project. Next, we discussed about the sub project and mini project. So whenever we are working on the main project, so sometimes what happened, our client is going with some amalgamations or our client is buying another small company. So that time we don't want to disturb the main project. So whatever the new company is acquired by our company. So simply that new company implementation also we done as part of the mini project or sub project. And the next, this is the very important project, my dear friends, the data migration project. So today we will discuss about this entire project. And the next, we already discussed regarding to the testing project as well in SAP. We have different types of testings like unit testing, functional integration, and user acceptance testing. And in our earlier class at the time of implementation project, so in the implementation project, while we are working in the CD level, the change document, whatever the working environment we done earlier in solution manager ticketing tool. So in that CD level already already I shown like unit testing is performed by the developer, like one of our colleague. And the next functional testing is maintained by the design team and integration testing or system SIT testing, the system integration testing and UAT is performed by the testing team. So these are all points I explained very clearly. And later, even we have rollout project also. Basically, rollout is nothing but this is the extension of the implementation project. So whenever we are doing the implementation for the first time or for the first release or for the first wave, we call as implementation. Again, in the implementation, we have 3 types of implementation based on the scenario. And whenever we are moving that changes into the release 2 or the wave 2. So from this point onwards, the project we need to treat as a rollout project, my dear friends. And even we discussed about the clear cut regarding to the support project, especially once the implementation project is completed, the client is started using the SAP application and that time if the client is facing some issue or some errors or bugs or whatever it is, we need to resolve it being a support project. And later we have a conversion project and we have enhancement project. Even in our earlier class, we discussed very clearly about the enhancement project and even I suggested to watch 10 videos regarding to the enhancement project and as well. But the today topic is, this is the today topic, my dear friends, the data migration project. What do you mean by data migration? So first we need to understand what do you mean by data. So anyone have any idea what do you mean by data?
Uh, a collection of information.
Very good. Simple meaning. So collection of information. So we call as data. Simple collection of information. See, my dear friends, please try to understand migration means. What do you mean by migration? So migration is nothing but we are moving data from one place to another place, from one place to another place, or we are moving the data from one application to another application. One application to another application in the sense one software to another software as well. Why? Why we need migration, data migration in the real-time working environment? So please try to understand, my dear friends, whenever we are working in the SAP projects, so it means the client is not started the business with our present implementation project. That is very rare case. But as per my experience, until now, I didn't face that scenario also. It means the client already have the business since last 20 years or 30 years or 50 years or 100 years also. And this client, by run his business, he is using some other ERP applications. A best example, so we have a Oracle, or we have some PeopleSoft, or we have some MFG Pro, or we have some other like Salesforce. That is also one of the popular ERP application, or even SAP ECC also. It means our client have the business since last 20 years, 30 years, or 100 years, or whatever it is, and the client is used for their running of business, whatever the business types we have across the global. So once again, so majorly across the global, we have three type of business, my dear friends. What is that three types? Any idea? So one is
B2B.
manufacturing business.
Oh,
Manufacturing business. I will tell
Service
in our,
based,
yeah,
service
I will
based
try to
business.
explain in SAP terminology for our simple understanding. So the second one I can consider as retail business. Okay. And the next, the third one, so I will consider as service based business. So you can consider any business, my dear friends. Across the global, we have these three type of businesses only. Out of these three type of businesses, especially the manufacturing business have a different functions, my dear friends. The best example, the the manufacturing business, first they need to procurement of raw materials. This is the first activity performed by the manufacturing, procuring raw materials. And the next one is they need to go with the production. And the next one is, so they need to store some materials in warehouse. And finally, they need to sell their product to customers. And whenever they are procuring materials or whenever they sell that products, the finance team comes into picture. And again, without HR, there is no businesses. We knows very well. So if you consider here, my dear friends, out of the manufacturing business, we have a different type of functions by the business. For performing this type of functions in the real time environment, the client, let's say for example, so I will consider here Apple. This is also one of the company which is located in USA. So this company is used some other applications like this, my dear friends, whatever I mentioned earlier in top. So now the client wants to move into SAP S4HANA, my dear friends. Whatever the client is have the business already, and the client is used some other ERP applications in the market. And now the client wants to move into other applications, whatever he used earlier, into the SAP S4HANA system, my dear friends. Nowadays, there is no ECC implementations in the market, so we don't want to discuss that point. But earlier we have some ECC, but in 2015, 2016, as for my working experience, so I worked with only S4HANA projects only, and nowadays we have only the S4HANA projects only, my dear friends. So let's say, for example, for our simple understanding, my dear friends, if the client have the business since last 50 years, this 50 years of client data, they will maintain whatever the application earlier client is used. Let's say, for example, for our simple understanding, I will consider Oracle, my dear friends. And that too, being a functional consultant, we know in SAP point of view, we have three types of data, my dear friends. What is the three types of data? Master data,
Transaction
Transactional
data.
data.
transactional data, and configuration slash customization data. Please try to understand. So where it comes to the first two types of data, like the master data and the transactional data, whatever the client already maintained in the earlier application in Oracle, same this data we need to transfer into this application as well. Why? Because now the client wants to move, or the client wants to change their application, their software from Oracle to SAP S4HANA, my dear friends. Because of this reason, whatever the client have the data since last 50 years, especially the master data and the transactional data, we need to move into the SAP S4HANA, my dear friends. So this moving process from earlier application to now into SAP S4HANA, we call as migration, and we call as data migration, my dear friends. So earlier also I explained very clearly, as part of the S4HANA implementation project, usually this data migration things and all taken care by the data migration team, my dear friends. So because of this one, and again, one more scenario, usually this data migrations also sometimes what happened, the client is giving this entire role or this entire activity to the other company as well. Other company in the sense, let's say for example, there is a Apple company, and Apple company wants to implement SAP S4HANA, and the implementation partner is Infosys. And Infosys is the responsible to implement the SAP S4HANA. But there is a some scenarios, there is a some cases what's happened. The Apple company is not giving entire implementation process to Infosys. So they are giving some process which is related to data migration. They will hand over, or they will given to some other company like entity data. So these are all cases also we can see in real time, very rare cases, but it's not happened. In general cases, the Infosys company is also performing the data migration activity as well. But the very important point is this data migration, they will perform with the help of data migration team, my dear friends. For example, once you got the job in SAP, being a FICO consultant or being a SD consultant, so now if you are part of the data migration project, my dear friends, here your roles and responsibilities is completely different what I discussed until now, my dear friends. So it means here your roles and responsibilities is completely different compared to implementation project and compared to support project or compared to testing project. So that's the reason only I told many times. So our roles and responsibilities is not decided based on our project. So here we can consider 3 points I explained in day 2, day 3 class. So every project, being a consultant, our roles and responsibilities is depends upon the majorly 3 points. So the first point is the type of project. It means whether you part of implementation or whether you part of support or whether you part of data migration or whether you are part of testing. your roles and responsibilities is there. Apart from that, depends upon the team as well. The second point is depends upon team. Why? Because in the implementation project, my dear friends, it includes the design team, it includes the build team, it includes testing team, and it includes the data migration team as well. So based on the team, which team you are belonging to exactly. So that team also, your roles and responsibilities are vary. For example, you are the part of S4HANA implementation, but you are the part of data migration team. So this time, your roles and responsibilities is completely different compared to design team, compared to build team, or compared to testing team. Please try to understand. In real time, many of the members are confused because of this small point. And next, what is the third factor, which is decided by the roles and responsibilities in our project? The third factor is your designation, my dear friends. It means based on your experience, like 4 years, 5 years, you treated as a junior consultant, and above that, we have a senior consultant, and above that, we have a lead consultant, and above, we have solution architect, we have lead solution architect, or we have process owner, or we have end-to-end end-to-end solution analyst. So likewise, we have a different type of designations also there in every project, in every team, my dear friends. So based on your designation also, your roles and responsibilities is also vary. Why I am discussing these are all points now. The very important point is once you got the job in SAP, many members have lot of confusion because of these small points. Okay, please try to understand. Once you got the job, your roles and responsibilities is differently based on the three major factors. The first major factor is type of project. The second major factor is the team under which team you are part of. And the third factor is under which designation you are belonging. So this is the major three factors which is consider your roles and responsibilities in our real time project environment, my dear friends. So let's say, for example, here I explained. So Apple is the company. Earlier they used the Oracle application, and now this company wants to implement into SAP S/4HANA. This time we need to migrate the data from the Oracle application to the SAP S/4HANA system. So this is very easy understanding, but the criticality in real time, even what I worked in my earlier project. So my project and my client have the business across the global, and in across the global, my client is used the different applications in different countries, my dear friends. Like some countries, my client is used Oracle. Some countries, my client is used PeopleSoft. Some countries, my client is MFG Pro. Some countries, Salesforce. And finally, some countries, my client is also used SAP ECC application. So in this scenario, the difficult part by the data migration consulting team is we need to extract the data from different applications with different tools, my dear friends. So this is the highest maximum criticality scenario. So today I will explain how we done these are all things in my earlier project and what are the methodology we followed or what are the mechanism we followed to
And
migrating
also,
this data from one system to another system. Yeah.
yeah, and also we would like to know about the tools that are used for the data migration. Take an example of
Yes. Yes.
Signavia
Yes.
or yeah.
Yeah. So now please try to understand, friends, what do you mean by data migration? So the meaning is very easy. Data migration is the process of moving data from one location to another, one format to another format, or one application to another. Whatever it is, we call as data migration. Don't confuse. Data migration, the meaning is very easy. Data migration is the process of moving data from one place to another or one format to another or one application to another. Simply we call as data migration, my dear friends. Generally, this is the result of introducing a new system or a location for the data. So this point only I told earlier. So my client is used earlier some Oracle application or some Salesforce application or MFG Pro application. Now my client wants to shift into application into SAP S/4HANA. So this time, obviously, we need data migration activity. And this business, the business is usually an application migration or a consolidation, which in legacy systems are replaced or are augmented by new application that will share the same data set. This is also very, very important, my dear friends. If your business wants to prepare some consolidations statements, like some consolidation financial statements, obviously, whatever your client have the data in the earlier system, we call as legacy system, same data you need to maintain in the new system as well. So once you maintain this one, then only it is possible to see the historical data of our client business and to see the consolidation data of our client business, my dear friends. So then next, how to plan a data migration. Very easy, my dear friends. Data migration involves only three basic steps. Very, very easy. So the first step is extract data. The second step is transform data. And the third step is load data. What do you mean by extract data? Extract data is nothing but whatever our client have the data in the earlier applications like Oracle Soft or PeopleSoft or MFG Pro, we need to download the data and we need to extract it. It means we need to bring the data into outside, my dear friends. So this process we call as extract data. So in the extraction of data only, we use the different tools in the market. Like we have a Power BI tool, which is most popular extract data tool. And whatever the Rupali mentioned, like there is a some Sangvia or there is some other tools also in the market, but most of the
Signavia.
clients, Signavia, yeah. So most of the clients they preferable with the Power BI, my dear friends, Power BI tool, which is very easily the tool which is very helpful to extract the data from in all different type of applications. Okay, so the extraction again, my dear friends, we are not responsible by the extraction data. Being a functional consultant, we are not responsible. Why? Because we know the SAP, but we don't know about the Oracle application, or we don't know about the MFG Pro application, or we don't know about the Salesforce application. Why? Because we are the SAP consultants. Am I correct? So in this case, the extraction of data, we have a separate team or we have a separate consultants, my dear friends, which they are background from the Power BI tool or whatever the tool we are extracting. The tool consultants are involved to extract the data. So next, transform data. What do you mean by transform data? Let's say, for example, in my earlier project, we have a Power BI team, which is extracting the data and they provided that the data into Excel sheet to the functional consultants, to the respective functional consultants. Like in our finance, we have a master data like GL master data and asset master data. And when it comes to the SD, we have a master data like customer master data, and there is a some customer material info record master data, or there is a condition record master data. And when it comes to the we have a material master data, or we have vendor master data. Again, we have a purchase info record master data. So likewise, we have different types of master data as well, my dear. So based on the different types of master data, once the Power BI team is given the data, being a respective functional consultant, we need to transform the data. Transform data is nothing but the field mapping, my dear friends. Whatever the fields have the data in the earlier application, we need to observe that fields. According to that, we need to mapping that fields in the SAP S/4HANA system. Why? Because here the earlier application is different. Like the client is used Oracle Soft and now the client wants to move into SAP S/4HANA. So when we maintain the GL master data in the Oracle application or in the SAP S/4HANA application, both are different, my dear friends. So in that case, what we need to do, we need to transform data, my dear friends. Transform means we need to map the fields, whatever the fields have the contains in Oracle application. And according to that, that fields we need to map into the SAP S/4HANA system. And once this data field mapping is completed, later we are going with the loading of data. Loading of data is nothing but we are uploading the data into the SAP S/4HANA system. Very simple process, my dear friends. The data migration plan contains only three basic steps. One is extraction data, which is done by the Power BI consultants. And the second is transform data, which is done by the respective functional consultants. And the third is loading of data. Even in my project, in that my earlier project, loading of data is also taken care by the BODS team, my dear friends. BODS team is nothing but that is the technical team which is responsible to upload the data into the SAP S/4HANA system, my dear friends. They are also technical consultants only. So BODS is nothing but Business Objects Data Services. Basically, the BODS consultants are the responsible to load the data. But before they load the data, we need to transform of data. So this is the three major steps we need to follow or we need to know as part of the data migration project, my dear friends. Next point.
But how to
So
test this data? I mean, take an example. If we have a source, and
I'm coming.
yeah,
Give me some time, Rupali. So testing, we are not going. So just I will try to explain pin to pin each and every point, the basics. Okay, we have testing. You don't worry. We have testing in data migration as well. Okay, but until now, so anyone have any doubt? What do you mean by data migration, or what do you mean by plan a data
Sir,
migration,
is
or
there,
what is this
sorry
three
for the
basic steps?
disturbance.
Hmm.
Is there any tools or interfaces to in data migration when we are transferring the data from other software to the SAP? What are the tools we have to use?
No, friends, that one only I told. Whenever we are extracting the data, we have a different tools. Like in my earlier project, mostly we used the Power BI tools only, my dear friends. Okay. So with the help of that Power BI tools, so we are extracting the data. Okay.
yeah. But I mean,
So
if you can see the Capgemini or I mean
mm,
Infosys or maybe IBM also, they are
mm,
using Signavia for doing the data migration.
yes. So not only that one, my dear friend, Signavia, we have even in SAP side also we have a SAP Advanced SQL migration tool. We have SAP Data Services tool, or we have SAP Information Steward tool, or we have a SAP Business by Design Informator. That is also one of the tool. So likewise, we have different tools to extracting the data from the different systems. Okay. So, but mostly in the real-time projects environment, we used so the Power BI tools only, which is very helpful to extracting the data from the earlier systems. Okay. Next point. So next, we need to understand overview. So efficient and reliable data migration is a key success factor for the implementation of the SAP solution. So the very important point, my dear friends, the key success of SAP implementation project, we need to migrate the reliable data. There is no doubt. We need to migrate the reliable data into SAP old application or the client earlier application into the new systems, my dear friends. Next, the data migration self-services for the SAP solutions enables to perform. These are all theory. And now you can see, my dear friends, whenever you want to understand the data migration project, first you need to understand the source system, my dear friends. In data migration project, we call as source system and target system. What do you mean by source system? Whatever the client is used the present application, we call as source system, my dear friends, like MFG Pro, SAP ECC, or there is Accepta, or there is Oracle, or there is Tally. So these are all we call as source systems, my dear friends. And what do you mean by target system? Target system is nothing but SAP S/4HANA system, my dear friends. Next. So now you can see the data migration, how we will plan. So what is the things we need to follow? So first, we are going with the prepare phase, my dear friends. in the data migration project. So the prepare phase, we are doing the initial preparations of the data migration project. Now you can see the preparation of data migration activity, including configuration, preparation for data migration in a first implementation and configuration. Prepare for data migration in a change project contains the following initial tasks. So very, very important, my dear friends, in SAP, of course, every functional consultant knows if you want to maintain the some master data in the SAP, like finance team, GL master data or asset master data, and the SD team, the customer master data or customer material info record or whatever it is, and team, material master data and vendor master data. We know, right? Before we created the master data into the system, we need to maintain the configuration, my dear friends. Without we maintain some configuration, there is no eligibility to maintain the master data directly into the system. All of the consultants, please remember this point. It
So
means
what is the
if you want
what?
to maintain some GL master data in SAP application, finance consultant will maintain some settings like the enterprise structure settings they need to maintain, some chart of account settings or some account groups or some retained earnings or some fiscal year variant or posting period variant. Very important, the account groups. Without account group, there is no chance to create the GL account creation in SAP, my dear friends.
Yeah,
So
but what kind of
likewise,
configuration, Gopi,
it,
they
it
are
vary,
maintaining?
it is vary from project to project, it is vary. Sorry,
Yeah, but I mean,
from
what does that mean?
what does it means? That is the initial configuration is required by the master data creation, my dear friend. So
Yeah,
the
so
best
is it
example,
provisioning?
yes, provisioning is also correct. For example, I will show you. I will open my SAP application. Okay. So especially finance consultants knows this point very well. For example, I want to create my GL master data here. Okay. So when I created my GL account master data, my dear friends, without this account group, is it possible to create the GL account master data in SAP? Without you defined the account groups, is it possible to create the GL master data here?
And how they can create this account group?
We have setting OBD4. Okay. Members, finance members, why are you not responding? Did you get my question? Is it
No,
possible
sir, it is not.
to maintain the GL
No,
master data without account group? Is it possible?
no, sir.
It is not.
No. So
No.
even without field status group, is it possible to create the GL master data?
No, sir.
So it means if you want to maintain some master data into the system,
So is
even
it, I mean,
in asset master data also, my dear friends,
Gopi?
1 minute, Rupali. Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
So for
you go ahead.
example, if you want to maintain the asset master data in this column, again, can we maintain the master data directly into our company code before we maintain some chart of depreciation copy reference to company code or asset classes creation, account determination, number ranges, screen layout rules? Without we maintain that settings, is it possible to create the asset master data directly into the SAP application? It's not possible, my dear
No, sir.
friends. So it means if you want to maintain some master data, so before that, we need to maintain some configuration, the prerequisite configuration or predefined configuration or some provision configuration we need to maintain in the system, my dear friends.
Yeah, so will that configuration be created manually or
Yes, manually.
yeah, but take an example. If suppose we wanted to do 10,000 of configuration, then in that case, I mean, how we can do it manually?
Not
Doesn't it
that much
takes?
of configuration, friend. So we don't have that much of configuration. We have
Mhm.
very 40 to 50 steps of configuration. That's it.
And will that be stored in database?
Yes, whatever
Okay.
you maintain in SAP, my dear friends, each and everything stored in tables. The database storage element in SAP we call as table.
Which all tables
Every
do we
data,
have it?
we have many tables. We have 10,000 plus tables. So if you want to see the tables, we need to go to SC16 and here we need to know the BSIC table or BKPF table. Again, the transaction to transaction, the tables information is different. We have more than 10,000 tables in SAP. So which is helpful to store the data, whatever the data we maintain, either it is master data, transactional data, configuration data, any data, my dear friends, you maintain in SAP application, it is stored under the respective tables. Please try to understand. Then if you ask the question exactly which table, again, it is vary from point to point, the table is vary. Okay. Next point. Next. So set up for user accounts for migration key users and assign business configuration work center, including data migration view to each migration key user. So this is also very, very important. It means if you want to maintain some data migration, before we need to maintain the business configuration, my dear friends. Then only we are eligible to create the data migration, my dear friends. And these are the small points. Download the migration template and that you need, and we need to upload the data as well. And now you can see how we are loading the data. What is the data load process in data migration? So the data load process is nothing but, again, here we have a different tools like LSMW, LTMC, or we have some data migration templates as well. So with the help of this different tools in the SAP S/4HANA system, we are loading the data also, my dear friends. Rarely, or sorry, maximum we can use these three tools only, my dear friends. One is the LSMW, and the second is one is the LTMC. Most of the cases we used this two tools only to load the data into the systems, my dear friends. Again, on which system we are loading this data, I will explain you. I will explain you. Give me some time. Next. Again, the perform of data extraction, what I said earlier, out of the 3 points in data migration, the first is the data migration, the second is the data transform of data, and the third is the loading of data. So out of that, the first very important point is the data extraction. How we are extracting the data from earlier application, that is also very, very important, my dear friends. Here only we discussed whatever we have the different tools in the market. Based on the tools, we are extracting the data, and that extraction data, that respective tool consultants will provide it to us in the Excel sheets. And once we receive the data in Excel sheet, so we need to understand and we need to do the data field mapping in that Excel sheet itself. And same that Excel sheet, once the field mapping is completed, we need to hand over to the BODS team. Usually the BODS team is the responsible to upload the data into the SAP S/4HANA system. Usually we are going with some sample records, 2 to 3 records. That time, again, we need to perform the sample testing. And once the sample testing is executed successfully, finally we are uploading into the remaining data. That one we are called as a final testing also, my dear friends. I will explain you what do you mean by sample testing and final testing as well. So this is the very, very important point, my dear friends. If you understand this diagram and if you understand this picture, this is more than enough to understand the data migration in the real time, my dear friends. What is this picture? So the data migration methodologies, my dear friends. So we have a activate methodology. Like activate methodology in the SAP S/4HANA, we have a phases like discover, prepare, explore, realize, deploy, and run. So same like for the data migration also, we have a different methodologies, my dear friends. Majorly, we have 3 methodologies across the globe. So the first is the ETL, is nothing but extract, transform, load. The second point is import, transform, load. And the third is import, validate, load. This is the 3 methodologies we used for the data migration, my dear friends. So when it comes to the first point, ETL, whatever I said earlier, the data migration plan contains the 3 points: extraction of data and transform of data and loading of data. You can find out in this place, my dear friends. You can see here, there is a SAP data services. This is also one of the tool we can extract the data. And now you can see this is the extract point, this is the transform point, and this is the load point. So I will expanding my screen as well. And now you can see earlier my client is used MFG Pro application. or Oracle application here, and the client have the data like this, and this data we are extracting with the help of SAP data services, my dear friends. SAP data services are what I mentioned earlier. So we have a Power BI. So we have many tools in the market. So even we have Cinity tool also from the SAP side. So we have a advanced SQL migration. So SAP information steward. This one also SAP data services, or we have SAP Business by Design Info or Importer. So likewise, we have here different tools to extract the data. And again, I told you extraction is not in our hands. Please try to understand. But this is the activity in our hands, being a respective functional consultant. This is the activity mainly we need to perform in the data migration. So transform. Transform is nothing but, let's say, for example, in source application, we have a fields like this. And in target application, we have a fields like this. We need to map the source mapping into the target mapping, my dear friends. So this is the activity which is performed by the respective functional consultants. And when it comes to the load process, it means we need to upload the data into the SAP S/4HANA system. So we have a BODS team. They are using some IDOC method or some BAPI method or LSMW or LTMC. So whatever it is. So with the help
What is
of
the
these are all methods.
long form of LTMC and LSMW?
LSMW is nothing but the legacy system migration workbench, my dear friends. Legacy system migration workbench. That is the full form of LSMW. That is the tool we are using to upload the master data. And the second point is LTMC is nothing but legacy transfer migration cockpit. So this is the full form of LTMC. So what is this tool, Rupali? Earlier you asked one question. Sir, if it is a 10,000 configuration in SAP and manually how we will maintain that configuration in SAP? So my dear friend, we don't have 10,000 of configurations in SAP in the configuration part, but in the master data's point of view, we have a master data like lakhs of master data. It means if you consider Amazon company, you know Amazon company how many customers they have. And if you consider the Geo, you know, we know at least some idea how many customers have that company for their in their business. So this much of volume of data, lakhs of master data they have. But this lakhs of master data by manually to upload into the SAP system, it's not possible, my dear friends. That's the reason only this is the tools like LSMW or the LTMC. Or again in LSMW, we have a batch input record method, direct input record method, BAPI method, or IDOC method, or whatever it is. These are the two tools which is helpful to automatic uploading of the lakhs of records in the SAP S/4HANA system, my dear friends. If you
And
have
what is
10
BAPI?
lakhs vendors also, BAPI is
What
one of the method in the LSMW tool. So the
and
BAPI is also
long
used
form?
by the hmm?
What is the long form of BAPI and IDOC?
IDOC is nothing but intermediate document, and BAPI is nothing but business application programming interface. Okay, these are the different methods, friends. In LSMW, we have four methods: batch input recording, direct input recording, BAPI, and IDOC. Whatever it is, any method we are using to upload the lakhs of master data into the SAP S/4HANA system, my dear friends. Okay, next point.
G, I have one doubt.
Hmm.
When we are transferring the data from source system to target system, in
Hmm.
target system, the data is jumbled. As a finance consultant, what are the ways we have to do if the data is jumbled?
Not no jumble, my dear friends. Here there is no point of jumble. See, please try to understand. First, we are extracting the data from the earlier application. Am I correct? And once the extraction, we are not done. Extraction is done by some other teams. And they are extracting the data, and this data they will provide it in the Excel sheet to us. In Excel sheets, we need to receive so and so extraction team. And now in the Excel sheet data, whatever the data we received, we need to perform the transform data. It means according to the earlier application, now we need to do the data field mapping. Field mapping, what do you mean by fields? Already I explained multiple times. In master data, we have here different fields, different tabs. So in this area, we need to transform the data and we need to finalize that Excel sheet file, and that file only we will send to the data loading team, the BODS team or the above team. And whatever the Excel sheet you provided, that Excel sheet only they are uploaded into the SAP S/4HANA system. Here there is no case of jumbling. Okay, unless until if the data, even if the data contains some duplication entries also, the system is not accepted, my dear friends. The system will throw the error. If you send some duplication entries, the system is not picked. Why? Because the master data is always the unique in the SAP application. If you maintain some duplication, the duplicated values also, you don't worry. The system is not consider the duplicate values. Okay. Next point. Now try to understand what is the difference between ETL and ITL and IVL. So ETL is nothing but extract, transform, validation, and load data. These are the 4 points we can consider. And when it comes to the ITL, so ITL, we have a options like we are import the data instead of extract the data, we are import the data, and we have transformed the data, and we are doing validation, and finally we are putting the loading of data. And when it comes to the IVL approach also, same, we are import the data and again we are putting validation. There is no transform. Directly we are using for the loading of data, especially the IVL we are using to same system or same application like SAP. So we have some data into the some system, and now same in the SAP S/4HANA system itself, we are moving into another system. So this time we are using this IVL process, my dear friends. Why? Because it's not required to transform the data. Why? Because two applications are same, but the systems is different. So that time we used this process, the IVL process. Whatever it is, my dear friends, in data migration, we have three methodologies like ETL, ITL, or IVL. With the help of out of these three, we selected only one. Don't confuse. In real time, again, don't ask me, sir, can we use three methodologies in the real time? No, we used any one methodology only. And that is also decided by the client, not by the SAP consulting team. So we are giving the suggestions to the client, and whatever the client is saying, please follow this way or please follow this approach. Then we are following that way only, my dear friends. Next point. So any doubts regarding to this, the data migration methodologies, extract, transform, load, ETL, IVL, or ITL? No doubts?
Sir,
Okay.
something here.
So now,
So will we load the company wise data, company code data wise, or client wise data?
depends upon the data, my dear friend. If
Okay.
your data contains only company code, then we are going with company code only. There is no doubt. But if your
Okay.
data have some client level, then we are going with the client level only.
Okay.
Next point. So now we will try to understand the entire process. Okay. So what is this entire process? So first, we need to import the legacy system data. For example, we have a one SAP ECC application system. So from this ECC application system, first we need to import the data, and later we need to transform data. In this transform data, we have a staging area. We call as staging area is nothing but we are doing transforming. And later, before we are loading the data into the P01 system, the final production system, we need to check the preload validation. It means we are cross-checking whether we are maintain the correct data into the P0 system or not. We need to perform the preload validation also. And once the loading is completed, finally we need to done the post-load validation as well. Post-load validation is nothing but whatever the data we are uploaded in the P01 system, whether we maintained correctly or not. Just we are doing the post-load validation, and we will finish the data migration as well, my dear friends. And the point is, at the time of loading of data, my dear friends, we call as data rehearsals. Data rehearsals is nothing but, in my earlier project, we have a 3 systems, my dear friends, in the data migration point of view, not 3, 4 systems. Earlier, did you observe or not? In my implementation project, I said 4 systems. What is that 4 systems? E01, R01, Q01, and P01. Am I correct? In my earlier implementation, when I explained, I said we have 4 systems: E01, R01, Q01, and P01. But when it comes to the data migration approach, we have a systems like this. M01, the first system is changed. Instead of E01, we used the M01 for the data rehearsals, and R01, Q01, and finally P01 only, my dear friends. So it means in the data migration approach, whatever we migrating the data, the systems also we maintain differently, my dear friends. These points already I explained earlier also as part of the system landscape concept. I explained in STMC transaction, STMS transaction code, we have a M01 system also. So anyone is remembered that points? No? Even single person also? Very good. So no problem. So then I will show you what is this M01 system and where it is linked to the remaining systems. These and all I explained as part of the system landscape topic. So now you can see, my dear friends, what I said earlier. This is my system landscape. Am I correct? In implementation project, we have a E01 system, R01 system, Q01 system, and P01 system. What about this system, my dear friends? What is this system?
This
M01
is cloning,
migration system.
clone system. Yeah.
So migration system, my dear friends, this is the migration system. So this migration system only here I mentioned M01 system. So usually the data migration rehearsals we will start in M01. If it is done, later we are going with the R01, later we are going with the Q01, and finally we are going with the P01 system, my dear friends. Next, in IVL approach, how we gather the data. So we have here some business user. The business users is given some data to the central team. The central team is validating whether the business users is providing the master data correctly or not. If they are validating, so if everything is fine, or is there any problem with the data, so they are giving the solution to the central team. And finally, the central team will move into the data team. So in IVL approach, my dear friends, please try to understand there is a 3 type of peoples are involved. The business users is the responsible to provide the data to the central team. The central team is cross-checking the data. And finally, the central team is sending the data into the data team, the data migration team. So now the data migration team is reviewed by data team, and they are going with the sample load, and they are cross-checking some sample testing, and finally they are loading the full data as well. Next point. So now you can see in my earlier project, we followed the different approaches based on the object name. What do you mean by object name? Whatever I said earlier, we have to move our data from master data and transactional data. So every master data or every transactional data in real time, we call as objects, my dear friends. And every objects we are giving some object ID. So within this, here we mentioned what is the process we followed, so and so approach or so and so things also, and whatever the tools we used in my earlier project. You can see here, most of the cases, 95% of the cases, we used the LTMC tool only. And now you can see we have a local chart of accounts. We have profit center, cost center, internal orders, fixed assets, AR open items, AP open items, GL open items, GL balances, GL balances secondary, and customer disputes. You can see here, these are all the transactional and master data objects where we need to upload into the systems as part of the data migration, my dear friends. Next, now coming into testing part. The Rupal is interesting topic. See, basically, in the data migration, we need to perform 2 testings, my dear friends. One is the sample migration testing, and the second is the final migration in production system. What do you mean by sample migration testing? See, whenever we are uploading the data into the SAP S/4HANA system, my dear friends, for example, you have 10 lakh records. 10 lakhs of records you need to upload into the system. See, in at a time, we are not uploading 10 lakhs entries into the system, my dear friends. First, we will cross check with the some 3 to 5 records. It means we will upload the 3 to 5 records only into the production system out of the 10 lakhs entries. And once we uploaded the 3 to 5 records, 3 to 5 entries, we will cross check in the production system or in the quality system whether according to our expectation, the data is fitted into the respective system or not. This process only we call as sample migration testing, my dear friends. It means out of the 10 lakhs entries, we uploaded only 5 entries. And these 5 entries, we are cross checking whether the data is maintained by the SAP S/4HANA system correctly or not. If something is happens or some field is not appeared or some field data is not entered into the system or some field data is missing in the system, so that time with the help of sample migration testing we need to resolve in the next 5 more sample records, my dear friends. So likewise, until we got the 100% perfection of the data into the production system, we need to perform the sample migration testing, my dear friends. Sample migration testing is nothing but we are uploading the 2 entries or 3 entries or 5 entries into the system, and we will cross check whether all the fields is correctly mapped into the system or not, or is there any missing information, or everything is fine or not. We will cross checking each and every data element, my dear friends.
And
And
which tool
once
are
it
you
is done,
using?
nothing to by manually only we are cross checking. It's just a matter of 3 entries, 5 entries, or 10 entries, right? So just we are cross checking manually only. Okay. But and even we are checking, we are extracting the data again into the Excel sheet. With the help of Excel sheets also, we will cross checking. Here the tools is not required. And the next point, once the sample migration testing is completed successfully, it means the data is loading very good, perfect. So then we are uploading 10 lakhs entries into the production system now. And these 10 lakhs entries, once we uploaded, again we need to perform the final migration in the production system, my dear friends. Final migration testing. What is this testing? For example, if you upload the 10 lakhs master data, whether this 10 lakhs master data is loaded into the system or not, we can see, we can download that master data in the tables level, and we need to extract the data into the Excel sheet. Again, we are cross checking whatever the Excel sheet we are uploading or whatever the Excel sheet we received in the SAP system. This way, we done in the final migration system, final migration in production system. It means
And how
we
you
are
can
comparing.
validate and how you can validate this large volume of data?
Simple. We can see whenever you are uploading the data into the production system, we are uploading some with the help of Excel sheet only, right? 10 lakhs entries. And once we uploaded, again we are downloading the data in the tables level. We have some Excel option, my dear friends. We need to download the data into the production system. And now we are cross checking whether at the time of uploading we have 10 lakhs entries. Okay. And once we uploaded and once we downloaded the data into the SAP S/4HANA system, whether we have 10 lakhs entries or not, we are cross checking, and we will perform some zigzag testings also. Like so and so entry, let's say, for example, there is some 9,700 entry, how it looks like in the upload file and how it looks like in the SAP S/4HANA file. We are doing some Zembling systems. So we are checking so and so numbers, cross checking. And if everything is fine, and we are finalizing, and we will close the data migration process as well, my dear friends. And again, once we uploaded this data in real time, this team we call as data migration team. And even some of the projects we call as master data governance team, MDG team. And some projects we call as MDM team also, master data maintenance team also. And once the data we are uploading into the production system, Again, the MDG team or the MDM team is the responsible to maintain that master data or to modify that master data or to maintain any new master data in future as well. In future also, my dear friends. In real time, basically the master data is not in our hands. Being a respective functional consultants, especially in big projects, the master data and all taken care by the MDG team or our MDM team. MDG is also one of the module in SAP like FICO, MMPP or whatever it is. Master Data Governance, the full form of MDG. So now you can see here, whatever you have question, how we are validating data. You can see here, this is the Excel sheets, my dear friends. So we need to prepare the upload template. You can see here, and these are all the upload templates. And once we uploaded this master data into the production system, again in production system, we need to download the data into the tables level and we will cross check. That's it. Nothing is difficult here. Next point. Now you can see the upload file like this, especially in LTMC. We have here some upload template and this upload template contains the data like this. We have different sheets, different data and all we will maintain in real time. So next, this one already I told. So for example, if you want to maintain some master data, obviously we need some configuration. Without configuration, it's not possible. So these are all things we maintain. And now we need to understand, especially in LSMW, I said we have 4 methods in LSMW, like direct input record method or batch input recording method, BAPI and IDOC. And BAPI is nothing but, so again in BAPI to create the fixed assets, we have 2 types of BAPI also. This is the standard program provided by the SAP, the standard solution. Like BAPI underscore fixed assets underscore overtake create or BAPI underscore fixed asset underscore overtake post also. These are also different new, 2 types of BAPIs, which is useful to upload the asset master data, my dear friends. Next point. So now you can see we need to understand in the SAP S4HANA, in the ECC, we have a small difference, my dear friends. What is this difference? In ECC, if you want to upload the data, we used this tool, my dear friends, the LSMW tool. LSMW is nothing but legacy system migration workbench. And where it comes to the SAP S4HANA system, we have a LTMC. LTMC. The main difference between LSMW and LTMC is, you can see here in standard point of view, the LTMC or the data migration cockpit, which is very useful to maintain the data, and each and every data format, it's already there into the system, my dear friends, in LTMC. But when it comes to the LSMW, we need to define, we need to create our own template in LSMW. And performance wise, don't compare migration cockpit to the LSMW. Why? Because you can see here. So you can see here. So compared to the LTMC and the LSMW, the speed is very fast and accurate. The LTMC method, my dear friends. Why? Because this is the HANA database and this is the old database, especially in ECC. But in the SAP S4HANA also, we have LSMW, my dear friends. But again, compared to LTMC, the LTMC is the tool which is perform migrating the data very fast compared to LSMW. And the volume, so here you can upload maximum 100 MB and 160 MB, but where it comes to the LSMW, there is a limitation. If it is crossed by these entries, the system is not accepted to upload the data as well. This is the maximum length. Next. So there is some custom fields also in LTMC. If you want to maintain some custom fields, we can maintain that one with the help of LTMOM, my dear friends. LTMOM. So when you attended the interview, sometimes the interviewer is asked, for example, while we are migrating the data with the help of LTMC tool, what is the procedure I need to follow to maintain some custom field? So that time we need to follow LTMOM, my dear friends. LTMOM is nothing but legacy transfer migration object modeler. LTMOM full form. Next point. So now you can see we have different types of tables and year-end process and mid-year process. So the toughest point for friends in my data migration experience, when we are migrating the data at the year end, we can easily migrating the data, my dear friends, assets. But at the time of mid-year, when you transferring the data, asset master data into the SAP S/4HANA system, so that is the toughest scenario, my dear friends. Why? Because we need to calculate 6 months depreciation. We need to calculate the asset value and we need to upload that asset value into the SAP S/4HANA system. So we need to follow so many steps, my dear friends. The toughest point is that one only. And if your interviewer is asked this question, just you can skip this question. Sorry, I don't have that much knowledge to upload the asset master data at the time of mid-year process. One of my senior consultant is only handled, or in my project, my lead consultant is handled by this process. Likewise, you can skip this question, my dear friends. Why? Because in real time, it's not easy. So at the time of year end, so we can easily migrating our asset master data, but at the time of mid year, so it's not easy, my dear friends. Next point. So then here you can see the data migration transfer settings. We need to do some settings before we started the data migration. So first we need to go into this T code fn ns underscore mig underscore ctrl underscore 1. And here we need to change this one. Whatever the company code you want to maintain the legacy data transfer, we need to put the status into ongoing and later we will perform the LTMC. And in LTMC also the T code is same. LSMW, LTMC, both T codes are same, my dear friends. LTMC and as well as LSMW. And in LTMC, once you entered this T code, so again, this is also very, very important point, friends. So LTMC from the version 2021 in the SAP S/4HANA system, this T code or this tool, which is open only in the Fiori apps, my dear friends. It means in on-premise edition, there is no LTMC concept, my dear friends. LTMC, once you enter this T code, the system is connected one URL like this. This is the Fiori URL. And with the help of this Fiori URL only, we can maintain our master data with the help of this LTMC tool, my dear friends. So later you can see here I mentioned to first, if you want to maintain some master data with the help of LTMC, first you need to click on create option. And here we have a transfer data from file or transfer data from stacking tables. Here you need to select one of the option, which option you want to go. And later you can see the system is showing like this, like there is some standard scopes and all. And likewise, we need to save the Excel file. This is the Excel file, which
And
is provided by the SAP.
how
Ah,
about the on-prem? I mean, as you said that it's for the Fiori.
On-premise also, my dear friends, on-premise is also, it is connected to the Fiori apps also. See, in on-premise also, we have a Fiori apps. Okay. Whenever
But
you
then
use
how?
this transaction, it is
But how you
connected to
have
the
said
Fiori.
link is available? Not, but
Don't
you have
difference.
mentioned that. See, in SAP, I mean, can you go to the statement? Yeah, in SAP S4 HANA version from 20, the LTMC link is available on Fiori and not it on on-prem.
Yes. In on-premise also, my dear friends, for example, so this is my on-premise edition. Okay. So whatever I opened here. For example, if I click this one, LTMC, okay. So now you can see this is connected to Fiori. So this is the Fiori screen. It is connected to Fiori. But before that, I need to change my setting, one of my setting. Where is that settings, my dear friends? Anyone have any idea? I need to change one setting. So in accessibility, no, keyboard visualization one, two, notification. No, here in control settings, here instead of Internet Explorer, I need to change Edge, apply, okay. And now if I open this one LTMC, Now it is opened my Fiori, my dear friends. You can see here. So Fiori is opened. Click on advanced. Click on this link. And from here, I need to provide my login details one more time. Same, whatever the login details I used earlier. Same login details, I need to use this option. And later click on login. So this is the LTMC. What
Yeah, but then why that statement was saying that not on-prem?
not on-premise means it is connected to Fiori, friend. Don't confuse. You can see here, there is a create option. And now you can see what is this point. By using LTMC in on-premise, so it is not connected to your on-premise system. It means there is no option to create here. So usually in on-premise, if you have the Fiori app, in Fiori app only, we can use this LTMC T code, my dear friends. Especially this is the change from 2021 version. Earlier, so we can directly open. See, for example, if I open the LSMW in my system, you can see here in LSMW. So the system is opened like this. Okay. For example, if I selected this one, if I click on execute, and now you can see this is the LSMW. So earlier what happened when I opened the LTMC T code in the on-premise system, it is opened like this here only. It is not connected to Fiori. But from the version 2021, it is opened only in Fiori. In on-premise means in this SAP system itself, it's not possible to open the LTMC. Don't confuse. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So next point. So now you can see this is the steps what we followed the LTMC to upload the master data and all. So better I will try to maintain one video in upcoming days to upload the LTMC and all. So that's it, my dear friends. So this is the real-time configuration steps, whatever the steps we need to maintain as part of the implementation project as well. So these are the basic things you need to know as part of the data migration project, my dear friends. If you have this much of knowledge, what data migration or what is this extraction of data, transform data, load data, or what are the methodologies we have in data migration. So if you know these things, this is more than enough to understand the data migration project work once you got the job in SAP. Okay. So is it clear or anyone have any doubts? No doubts? Okay, so no issue. Then I will upload this video in my YouTube channel also by tomorrow. And please